Hey, fellow Restopians, stay cool. Welcome to Restopia. So, a bit of an impromptu video. I was going to do a couple today because I am on 994 subscribers. Now, I've never really made a point of asking for subscribers. I actually did a video saying I didn't really, was winding down the mainspring, I think it was. But as I'm so close, it'd be nice. I've always enjoyed seeing it go from say 300 to 400, 400 to 500. So 900 to 1,000 is, the bigger jump, isn't it? So if you do like the content, I'm going to ask officially, would you please subscribe? Smash that subscribe button. You don't even have to like the video. Just subscribe. And don't unsubscribe until it's at least one above 1,000. But yeah, that would be fun. Thanks very much if you do like the content and haven't already done so. But I hope you do like the content because I hope it's useful and helpful, because that's why I do it. But if I get above 1,000 and I start getting some cash, I'm going to shill. I'm going to be flogging those Artem straps like no tomorrow. No, I've never had an Artem strap. I don't know. They look really nice straps. And they make them in 21mm, which is fantastic. So why am I doing this video? You can see in the title, it's about taper. My video entitled San Martin First Purchase of 2025. A nice viewer, Ben H715. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I don't think the 715 is, I think they YouTube add that in, but I'm Restopia 4104, but I didn't do the numbers. Said if you want a 40-21mm, you could do worse. You could do worse than a Tissot Gentleman. He said it's a bit vanilla. I don't really agree with that. I love it. And not much taper on the bracelet, but I really like mine. Now, I'd never really considered the lack of bracelet taper. So I've got one on my wrist here. I've got two. I've got a blue one, and the first one I got was the green one because I couldn't get the blue one at the discount that I wanted. The green one actually has, it's a later version. That's like the original one, I think. And then they brought out these colours with crosshairs. I don't know if you can see those. I don't mind the crosshairs, but I prefer without. So I've got the green one. Pitch maneuver. That's what I was going to do. Show you that on the wrist. My wrist is a little bit bigger than it was when I sized this, but as it's a butterfly clasp, there are, with no micro adjust, there's not much I can do about it. So it is what it is. I come onto that clasp a bit later. So the taper, I hadn't noticed the taper, and I've been thinking about taper for a while, and it's something I've been meaning to mention. And there's things that I've just never ever seen anyone else mention about taper. I think a lot of watch content is basically about the head of the watch, all the dimensions of that. But then people just don't seem to care beyond that too much. I know people say, oh, it hasn't got any taper, but it's either it has got taper or it hasn't got taper. A lot of times people get that wrong. Grand Seikos do actually have taper. They just don't have very much. An Omega SMP 300 doesn't have any taper, and that's very parallel. And it's very obviously parallel. I haven't got one of those. I don't really like them. I have got a Mundane, which I bought, ironically, I bought specifically for the head of the watch. And I just went for it because I've got a stop to go Mundane. And that has a completely parallel bracelet. I think it looks awful. I really do. But as long as it's got a bit of taper, which kind of leads me on to the main point I wanted to make about taper. And I don't know, I was going to do a Did You Know? I might still do a Did You Know? I do like my shorts. If you haven't seen any of my shorts, have a look at them. I think I enjoy doing the shorts. Hopefully they're fun. But generally what happens, let's pop that down and show you an Erebus, because this is generally what I always thought happened with taper on bracelets. Now, a lot of people think that it tapers from the head of the watch, from the lug width to the clasp, and that it's a continual taper. And it actually does look like that. But in reality, when you think about it, that can't happen because each of the removable links, the ones with the screws there, they have to be the same size. Otherwise, you couldn't take them out. You couldn't take one out and it not be there. So what actually happens is most watches, I believe, they only taper on the non-removable links. Now on the Erebus, there's 3. So whatever that taper is, it's only on those first 3. So when you're sort of wearing the watch, you only really need to see 1 or 2 links. So you see that taper. On this one, when you see it from the back, let's just pop it on actually. When you see it from the back, like at all points, it seems to taper. But in actual fact, those, where have we got, how many's on there? See, I've taken quite a few links out of this, so there aren't many that don't taper. But you know, you get the point. It only tapers on the non-removable links. And I thought it was always, on all watches, I thought it was always all of the non-removable links. Now, different watches have a different number of non-removable links. The Tissot Gentleman, after Ben H's comment, I got one out and had a closer look at it. It has 5 non-removable links, but actually only 2 of them taper. These 3 are exactly the same width as the removable links, just under 19 mil. So there's about 2 mil of taper, but that is done in the first 2 links. So when you're wearing it, they're the only 2 that you really see looking straight on. So you get all of that 2 mil taper, which is why I didn't notice that it didn't have much taper, because that taper's fine for me. That look is fine. It's actually more than fine. Let's get that clear out. It's actually more than fine. It's ideal for me. You know, 40 mil case, 20 mil lug width, taper. But then from behind, from the back of the wrist, every single link you see there is the same width. That's completely parallel. Now I didn't really notice that. I think the reason being that I just don't really like the butterfly clasp. So the back the back part of the watch was always something that I didn't really like. So it was irrelevant whether it tapered or it didn't, because I just don't like it. So, but yeah, that's the main thing, is that people kind of, I don't think, understand very much. I mean, not, you know, it's just overlooked. They overlook the concept of taper and how important it is to the watch. Now, one of the reasons that I like 21, the main reason I like 21 mil lug widths is because it just fits my wrist well. All the watches that I've got that are 21 mil lug width just look better than if they were 20. And they're of a certain size, normally about 40 mil. But the other thing about the Tissot Gentleman is, when they have, you know, and as I say, you know, just bear in mind, you know, how much taper it has and where it tapers, which bits actually taper. Ultimately, though, you're going to just put the watch on and you're going to decide whether you like the look of it or not. But I think it's quite important to know what is actually going on beyond the case. Now, I think that the Tissot Gentleman, I don't like butterfly clasps. This has part links. I was lucky. I removed an equal number from each side, so it's completely in the middle still. If I'd had to remove an uneven number, it would be slightly to one side, which would be slightly annoying. Not too big a deal, but I was really lucky with the Tissot Gentleman. It's the butterfly clasp is completely central, and it fits my wrist pretty well. I think that the other thing about the Gentleman I'll quickly mention is that it kind of doesn't get mentioned much anymore because of the PRX. And I think that's a shame. It got mentioned quite a lot before the whole PRX hype. I'm not a fan of the PRX. I have got a quartz one. I don't find it at all comfortable. It's one of only a few number of watches that I actually, it's so uncomfortable I don't want to wear it. But yeah, a lot of people love it. They obviously don't have that problem. But it often gets mentioned in the PRX that it has plastic parts. The Gentleman doesn't. At least it didn't when I bought mine. It's still a Powermatic 80 movement, but it's got a silicone hairspring and no plastic parts. So it's just a better version of the Powermatic 80. So don't let the plastic parts thing put you off this watch. I think it's stunning. I think it is my best proportioned dress style sports watch. Those dimensions are just fantastic for me. It's going to look bigger on camera than it does in the flesh. But every time I put Gentleman on, it just makes me smile. I've always loved the watch. I think they should, let's just fire that PC back up, get a bit more light. I think what they really need to do is lose the polished centre links and put a threefold clasp on. So that's a butterfly, as you probably know. And that is a threefold, 1, 2, 3. The other advantage to a threefold would be that with a butterfly, the width at the clasp is the same as a link. With an actual clasp, the clasp has to be bigger than the link that enters it. So basically that means you've got a certain width there, but the bracelet can have an extra, probably a millimetre extra of taper. And as I say, starting at, that's 20, starting at 21, going down to a clasp. I mean, this is 19mm. I think it would be an 18mm clasp with a 17mm. So it'd go from 21 to 17. So it'd have 4mm of taper. I think what they would then do is they'd make more of those non-removable links taper. They could do at least 3, probably 4, and it would then, or maybe all 5. I mean, saying that, I mean, as I say, a lot of watches only have 3 that taper, but that still gives a look of fully tapering. Bracelets can taper too much. I think the Oris Aquis is way too much of a taper. It's also to do with the width of the centre and then the 2 outside links of a 3-link bracelet. But there's lots of nuances, is what I'm saying. There's lots of things to consider, and it's why watches look different and some look better than others. But yeah, I think Tissot should have a threefold clasp on. Just quickly show you my other one, the blue one, which is an earlier watch, but I actually bought it. I wanted the blue one when I got the green, but I couldn't get the blue at the discount. They only had the green, and I wanted the discount, so I got the green. And then later on, I managed to get the blue. And I just happened to get an absolutely gorgeous Grand Seiko alligator leather strap, which was meant to go on my Grand Seiko, but I had this on the desk, so I popped it on, and it's actually really difficult to get off now. I would probably damage the watch and or the strap if I tried to get something in there. This is so thick. It's so thick there, which is gorgeous, but it means it doesn't... It's so thick and stiff that it doesn't really move, and it would be... I've had a slight go at trying to get it out, and I thought, no, I'm going to damage something here. I don't want to do it. And I don't really want it on another watch. I don't really want it on the Grand Seiko anyway. So it's staying on here, and I absolutely love it. This tapers a millimetre more. And yeah, again, a threefold deployant clasp. But yeah, that's what I think Tissot should do. I think it would be a stunning watch. I don't know why they've dropped the Gentleman, and they've not kind of, done more with it, because it certainly was very talked about watch. And back in the day, but then the PRX came out, as I said, and yeah, they could improve this significantly. Probably take the date away as well. Just have a no date version. They got the baby blue. I've never seen one in the flesh, but I was tempted with the baby blue. But yeah, I think free Gentleman might be a bit too much. But yeah, hopefully you found it interesting. Like I say, if you do like the content, consider subscribing. But for now, one wrist, live it.